I really just had this strong desire to serve, and in my mind, because the Navy is going to be a part of our government, then it's important for people to volunteer so that others don't have to.
So that others don't have to. The best of the best. Navy Lieutenant Brittany Alkonis there on why he decided to join the Navy. We need more like him. The father of three is now serving a 3-year prison sentence in a Japanese jail for the negligent death of 2 Japanese citizens. A court convicted him in a car accident despite evidence that he fainted and therefore didn't fall asleep, thus wasn't negligent at all. His family says he was given an unfair trial and is calling on the Biden administration to help. Brittany Alkonis, wife of the lieutenant, is with us now. Brittany, we appreciate it, and we're sorry you're going through this. Do you feel a little bit abandoned?
Not a little bit. A lot.
Totally abandoned?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
I've said it before that we have been told that we cannot assume that my husband's best interests are what is in the Navy's best interests, that the JAGs of the Navy are responsible for protecting the Navy and the alliance. And I think the Navy's inactions has only proved that our interests are not aligned.
God, it makes you so angry just to hear you talk about that. How do you protect the Navy's interests if you can't protect the interests of the sailors who serve in the Navy? It's a very simple paradigm. I'm thinking if the Navy's going to sell out one of their own, basically, quote unquote, in the interest of the alliance to the Japanese, how much good that's doing is a question, but I digress. Could you, in good faith, tell another wife, hey, it's okay if your husband goes to Japan if he's going to be subject to whatever the randomness of the Japanese legal system would be?
Absolutely not. If someone were to ask me today, should we go to Japan? I would say no. I would not go to any foreign country. If someone were to ask me today, should I join the military? I would say no.
It's stunning considering how your husband described why he signed up in the first place. I probably should have started with this, but the emotion overtook me. Your husband was charged with negligent driving the deaths of 2 Japanese citizens in May 2021, 3 years in prison. Your husband said he fainted from acute motion sickness. He was driving down from Mount Fuji. The Japanese High Court believes he fell asleep. What's really going on here? Because something on its face doesn't make sense.
So I think it's important to understand that he does not say that he fainted. He has a clinical diagnosis from a doctor, from a neurologist, stating that he experienced syncope due to acute mountain illness. He was mid-conversation with my daughter when he lost consciousness. She was unable to wake him. Hitting 2 cars did not wake him. It was several minutes after the accident that he became conscious again.
So all the more reason that it kind of doesn't make sense that the Japanese wouldn't acknowledge that. It seems pretty basic and say, okay, tragic accident. And I know he's taken responsibility that is a tragic accident. So nobody's saying that it didn't happen. Why do they insist on punishing him?
That is what the aggrieved family wanted. They have stated multiple times that they want him to be severely punished. And because that is what they wanted, that was the prosecution's job, was to ensure that he was severely punished. So immediately following the accident, he was incarcerated. He was put in solitary confinement for 26 days. He was denied medical care, any sort of evaluation. He asked for drug and alcohol tests. They said, oh, we don't need that. We know why you lost consciousness. And in Japan, you do not have access to an attorney during pretrial confinement. They call it hostage justice.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's 2 lives for the price of 1. Japanese justice is not really justice.
Exactly.
But I keep going back to the Navy. A status of forces agreement should kick in. There's an enormous amount of pressure the United States could bring, which would be pretty simple to get your husband out of jail. Why aren't they doing that? Why have they abandoned you?
I think another thing that's important to understand is that while there is a status of forces agreement that outlines service members' rights, We do not have access to the majority of that agreement. That is classified information. And it is no one's job to ensure that your rights are being violated. If someone finds out that your rights are being violated, it is no one's job to correct the problem.
Huh. Stunning. And so basically, as I hear you, you're saying the Navy's putting themselves, and they don't want to ruffle any feathers within the Japanese government. Therefore, they're not going to help your husband. I'm thinking, though, Rahm Emanuel, the president's ambassador to Japan, has there been any push on the diplomatic side to say, okay, from the military standpoint, fine, but country to country, friend to friend, so to speak, we want to deal with this?
About a week before Ridge reported to prison, we did have a call with Ambassador Emanuel. I have spoken to his staff once since then. What exactly is being done, I am not sure. You know, the one option that keeps getting pushed is a prisoner transfer treaty. That option is 100% unacceptable. He would not be eligible to apply for it for a year. It often takes 2 years to even go through. By the end, his prison sentence is over. And more importantly, the prisoner transfer treaty requires him to return to the United States as a criminal. So then he would be a criminal in the 2 countries that he loved and served.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.